Students, let me tell you one thing, that analytical paragraph is not just about describing the graph line by line. So, in the next 15 minutes, I am going to share the best tips and tricks to fetch those 5 out of 5 marks in your board examination. First of all, there are certain pointers that are to be kept in mind while writing an analytical paragraph. This is the golden rule of your analytical paragraph. Clearly remember, compare the given data, analyze it, right? Observe it carefully and then give your conclusion finally. Students, let me tell you one thing, that analytical paragraph is not just about describing the graph line by line. So, if you learn to know how to present the given data based on the logical observation, if you can present it smartly, definitely you will get wonderful marks in your paper. So, in the next 15 minutes, I am going to share the best tips and tricks to fetch those 5 out of 5 marks in your board examination. So, grab your notebooks, don't go anywhere, because by the end of this video, you will exactly come to know what to write, what not to write in order to make those 5 marks short for your board examination. Right? So, here we go. First of all, we should know what an analytical paragraph is and what it is all about. It is not just about posting information about the given data, what you have seen, be it in the form of pie chart or a graph or a table or whatever the data has been given to you. First of all, there are certain pointers that are to be kept in mind while writing an analytical paragraph. So here are the points that you actually need to take care of, right? The very first one, you should know word limit has to be 120 words. You are not allowed, you are not supposed to exceed this word limit at any cost, right? So you can just, write a single paragraph of 100 to 120 words. You should not exceed that, and you should not write even below 100 words, right? So second thing, use same tense throughout. Absolutely, this is one of the most important pointers that is to be kept in mind, but majority of the students make mistakes while they come to this particular point. So the same tense has to be used throughout, right? Everybody must have heard of active and passive voice, so passive voice sentences should be preferred. And at the same time, let me tell you another important thing, that simple present tense should be used preferably, right? If you make your sentence using this particular tense, then definitely there would not be any problem, because you are going to describe the given data, be it in any form. So that means you are supposed to use simple present tense, what the given data suggests, what the given data shows, what the given data concludes, right? So in a nutshell, let me tell you that you are supposed to use the simple present form of tense, right, people? Next, in order to fetch 5 out of 5 marks, in order to just fix those marks, let me tell you the best strategy over here, right? You'll get a question, right? You will get a question. So based on that, let me tell you that half of the information will be given in the question and rest of the body part will be there in the data, whatever it is, be it a table or a pie chart or a bar graph or whatever, right? So very first thing, introduction. So let me tell you, first of all, as I told you that the word limit has to be 120 words, right? So what do you need to keep in mind? That you have to write it in 8 to 10 lines basically, right? Or you may say, if you're writing it for 100 words, 8 to 10 lines, and if you're writing it for 120 words, then 10 to 12 lines, right? Now, when it comes to writing these or managing these 10 to 12 lines, how you want to manage this? So the best trick that is to be remembered over here, that you will get your introduction from the question itself. No need to look for it anywhere else. You will get your introduction from the question itself. You'll get your body from the given data, right? Right? Whatever it is, be it a graph or a pie chart or a table, right? Or any other form of data, right? Then we have conclusion. Conclusion also you will get from the question itself. There won't be any single problem, right? Because most of the information will be derived from the question and body part will be derived from the given data, from the given clues. Now, let's just understand what another important thing is to be kept in mind. Introduction should not exceed 2 to 3 lines, right? Your body part, your body of the analytical paragraph should not exceed 5 to 6 lines. Now, lastly, your conclusion again should not exceed more than 3 lines. Right? So, in one way, you come to know that together, 3 lines, 6 lines and 3 lines, 6 and 3, 9 and 3, 12. All over, you are supposed to complete it. Some of the introductory lines have been made clear to you. Let's suppose the table has been given or a pie chart has been given or a bar graph has been given. So how you're going to use these introductory lines? So whatever the data is, I repeat, whatever the data is, use the given lines, use these lines in the introduction, like the given table suggests, the given chart depicts, the given table illustrates, the given data shows, the given data presents information about or provides information about. So you can use these introductory lines, and rest of the things would be derived from the question. Rest of the things would be derived from the question, and I'll also explain this to you with the help of an example all together. Right now, let's have a look. First of all, making good use of vocabulary will definitely make your analytical paragraph will make your answer actually a standout one. Right? What makes you different from other students? Everybody will attempt this question in the examination, right? But why is that, like, some students are likely to get 5 out of 5 while others may lose 1 or 1.5 mark? So if you just make use of good vocabulary, let's suppose it's not just about describing the data. What are the 3 important factors that are needed to be kept in mind? First of all, it is all about comparison, compare, analyze, and conclude. This is the golden rule of your analytical paragraph. You need to keep this thing in your mind. While you are writing an analytical paragraph, these things should be clearly remembered. Compare the given data, analyze it, right? Observe it carefully, and then give your conclusion finally, right? Based on this, let me tell you a very important thing, right? When an analytical paragraph question is being given, definitely it is based on some trends, and it will definitely ask you to compare, right? Maybe from previous years. Let's suppose they will ask you to just, differentiate the gap between birth rate and death rate, or maybe some population gap, or maybe some use of online gaming, maybe some use of AI and other AI tools as well. So it can relate to any topic, right? But these are the words in order to just, if you get growth related things, right? If you get growth related words, if you want to use those words, definitely you can make use of rapidly, doubled, skyrocketed, striking. So even you can remember any 2 or 3 words from this. If you can't remember all, remember at least 2 to 3 words, definitely. While the line graph falls, if there is a decline, right? So definitely you can use plunge. You can use plunge, you can use decrease, or you can use fluctuating. On the other hand, when there is no change, right? When a comparison cannot be made, definitely you can use the word like stabilize, or you can say remain stable. On the other hand, if there is some position that has been described, so in order to depict that, you can use 20% or 30%, or exactly how much is being given. Now, in terms of the data like this, what you are supposed to use? Let's suppose they have given you 60% of the data. You are not supposed to use like this in your answer. Instead of this, what you can write? You can write nearly 2/3. If they have given you 52%, you can say over a half of the given data, over a half of all respondents, whatever it is, whatever the topic is based on. Then if the topic is about 25%, definitely you can use a quarter or 1/4, right? Definitely if it is exactly 30%, so you can use a small fraction of, just because if it is below 30 or if it is below 50% or 40%, definitely you can use this fraction, a small fraction of. So I have given you the introductory lines as well. I have told you the tense appropriately that has to be used over here. I have given you good use of words as well, which will definitely help you out in scoring 5 out of 5 marks in your analytical paragraph. Now, let's see a sample question that will actually make you understand. So this question was previously asked in CBSE 2025 as well. Now, based on our understanding, see, what do we conclude, right? This is the question. Read it carefully. Read the given details about the pros and cons of artificial intelligence, right? We come to know that it is all about artificial intelligence, and some cues have been given to us. Now, with the help of the given cues and your own ideas, write an analytical paragraph in about 120 words on AI benefits and drawbacks. So it's about advantages and disadvantages of AI and its tools, right? We clearly come to know. And as I told you in the very beginning, that you will get your introduction from the question itself, and so it is totally agreed, right? So this is the introduction. The given data shows the effects of AI, right? So this we have got from the question itself. effects of AI or pros and cons of AI, whatever you can use. So you have got your introduction from the question itself. Now, with the help of the given clues, write an analytical paragraph in about words on AI benefits and drawbacks. Somewhere we have got our conclusion also. It's all about drawbacks and understand disadvantages only. Now, if we just look at this data and if we just observe these points carefully, right? So based on our logical observation, let's see what do we come to know. AI is possessed by machines, impacted our lives in many ways. AI, Google Maps, advantage. Knowledge at our fingertips, this is also advantage. Cannot wholly replicate human, this is disadvantage. Increase in cyber crimes, absolutely, this is also disadvantage. So these are the advantages and some are the disadvantages. But if we clearly observe, if you clearly compare the advantages and disadvantages, you will clearly come to know it has many more advantages than its disadvantages. So likewise, we need to present our data. Right? So, based on this, what we have written, the given data shows the effects of AI. It has greatly affected everyone, people from all walks of life. How? One of the main benefits of AI is its ability to handle large amount of information quickly. First benefit. For example, AI-powered tools like Google Maps has made our life easier. Right? So, it has helped us in many ways. Then, what do we come to know? It has made our travel easier. AI can also do tasks that are difficult for humans, but it cannot fully replicate humans. Why? Because it lacks emotions, it lacks feelings. So it cannot fully replace human beings, right? So, and there is also an increase in cyber crimes as well, right? It poses security threats as well. So you can mention all these things based on this, some of the advantages. Just 2 or 3 are the disadvantages. And at last, what we have written, despite these problems, AI is still offering growth and big opportunities. So we have concluded it on a very positive sense, right? We have concluded it positively on positive grounds. And but what we were discussing the pros and cons of artificial intelligence. So based on the information given above, we have compared it fully, we have analyzed it, and we have concluded it nicely. So if you write it like this, following the step-by-step procedure, then definitely nobody can stop you scoring full marks in your paper, right? Let's see another question based on some other kind of data. The given table shows details about the different internet activities of 6 categories of people. So we have clearly got our introduction here. The given table shows the 6 activities ranging from teens to their 70s or 60s that you can easily get teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So we are done with the introductory part. We have got our introduction from the question itself. Now, let's come to the given data. Based on this, you can just, what you need to do, you have to look for the highest graph, lowest, and somewhat the mediocre comparison. You need to compare it, you need to analyze it, and definitely you need to conclude it. So how we are going to do it? So if we talk about teens, what are they more involved in? If we talk about 20s, if we talk about 30s, which is the least aspect they are involved in? So you can compare like this. Let's suppose the highest figure in this is 81. Let's suppose highest figure among 20s is 79. Right? Let's suppose highest figure among 30s is 80. Let's suppose in 40s it is 83. Let's suppose in 50s it is 79. Let's suppose in 60s it is this. So you have to look for the least possible thing as well, right? So what we have done here, let's see. The table shows that the younger generation is more interested in online games, that we could clearly see. Now, when you mark these things in your data, definitely you will get, your time would be saved. There won't be any panic situation and you can easily present it in your answer, right? So what do we come to know? Whereas the older generation spends time on internet in order to research and buy products. If we just go for this product research and buying products, we see among age group, among 50s and 60s as well, right? We see people rely more on this particular aspect. Then the middle age group, that is people in the age group ranging from 20 to 60s, is highly interested in getting news, doing product research and buying products, with the percentage ranging from 70 to 80%. That you can clearly see from people 20 to 50s or 60s, right? Then we have the internet activity, it gets the least time is searching for people. If you search for people, there is the least time that has been given. If you compare all the sections, if you compare all the age groups along their columns. Now, all the age groups spend less than 30% of their internet time on the same. The amount of time spent on downloads decrease with age and get low as 6%. If we talk about download, it is decreasing as per the age level. 52 to 46 to 27 to 15 to 13 to 8 and to 6. It's slowly diminishing, right? Slowly diminishing, right? On the other hand, if we see all the age groups spend less than 30% of the internet time, that has been done. Overall, what does the table suggest? It suggests that teenagers are most likely to spend time in playing games. We have taken this particular section, right? Playing games, you can see playing online games, and finally getting news as well, on downloads as well. On the other hand, people on an average are interested in researching and buying products. It is also significant to note that people spend the least amount of time when it comes to searching for other people online. So what we have done, from where this word formation came, right? It is all from this particular data. We have got our introductory line from the question. We have got these 6 to 7 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 6 lines from the data, given data, and finally the conclusion itself. So this is how your analytical paragraph is to be attempted. So I have discussed the best tips and tricks. I have told you the best tense that should be used. I have told you the words that are supposed to be used appropriately when the trend is going higher, when it is coming lower, and the mediocre level as well. We have also discussed on the basis of data, if it is about 50% respondents, if it is about a fraction, how you are going to use those particular terms as well. So guys, by the end of this now, I really hope that everybody is able to understand. Now, just because we know that a data is related, whenever a data is given, two things are related, because ultimately it's all about comparison, and whenever there is a comparison, there must be two things. At least two things would be there. So in order to show the relation between those two respondents or objects or whatever the data given is, you can mention the words like relation between, significant relation between, or you can say remarkable difference between the two aspects, right? But when it comes to conclusion, what are the words that you can use? You can use like overall. You can use word like in a nutshell. It is quite evident from the given data that majority of the population or majority of the teens are involved in buying new products or whatever the aspects are, right? And or you can also use to conclude. So these are the words that you can use while writing conclusion. These are the words that you can use while depicting a relation. The introductory part has also been made clear. Now, I really hope that all the students will get 5 out of 5 in this particular kind of question in their board examination. Happy learning, guys. Thank you. I really hope that the video has really helped students out there. Stay tuned for more like these.